It's a very interesting time, I think, for Instagram. It's being used all the time, so it should be nice and fun. But just once again, thank you so much, and hello to everybody that's watching. Just for probably a little bit of context to explain why I've dragged you both here tonight, is to raise some awareness and also hopefully some funds for Theatre Camp Live, which is supporting Covenant House in the United States and also LGBT Switchboard here in the United Kingdom. And we've had some amazing responses so far, so just thank you so much to everybody that's been very kind enough to take part. So how I'd like this to work is I've got lots and lots of questions. I mean, my inbox today has literally been overflowing with things that people would like to know from you both. So I've got some questions that I'd like to ask, and then if anyone else would like to ask anything, then I'm sure I can try and fire some of those over to you as well. So I guess the most important thing is just to say that if people do want to get involved today, pop the comments in the bottom, and donations wise, if you go to club11.london/donate, all of the information is on there. Okay, so I guess my first question is, it seems like quite a while ago now, but on that sort of famous day that the West End went quiet, do you want to sort of talk me through, I guess, where were you and sort of what part of your day were you at?
It was quite an extraordinary day, actually, wasn't it? Because I think that we'd sort of come to the conclusion that obviously the Broadway had shut, and we thought, well, we carried on for a bit since then, and we were thinking this can't go on for much longer. And actually, we were gathered in the auditorium at the Garrick to do some working notes with the director and the cast and the crew, and we were all sort of sat round. And we never made it to do the notes because Nika, the producer, came into the theatre, and we were sort of discussing, planning how to move forward, if we should be doing the show. Mm-hmm. And then it was like a moment I think that none of us will ever forget, when we went off into our respective groups, in our union-based groups, to discuss how we felt about going ahead with the show, yeah, and if it was right, essentially. And then Boris Johnson made his announcement at 5 p.m. and it was just sort of booming through the theatre, and we were sat there and everyone went completely silent, and just the sound desk put it on the big monitors, and we were sat on the set of City of Angels. And then it was a weird moment of sort of knowing what to do after that. Do we clear our dressing rooms? Do we, you know?
Yeah, as all of this, I think, has sort of presented to people, there's a level of unprecedented activity here that I think all of us are still getting used to. I think as we were sat there in the theatre listening to Boris Johnson being piped over the sound system, you know, I think none of us could really have expected what was going to come. Some of us, I think, could probably, you know, take a guess or take a certain guesstimate and fear what was happening, of course. But you know, certainly I think the challenges that face all of us, and I suppose for our point of view as well, the theatre world, I think at that point weren't even close to becoming certain. So we were all just kind of sitting there thinking, oh, okay, maybe we'll, you know, maybe we will see one another again soon, but you know, who knows whether that's going to happen now.
Was there, I guess, almost a nervousness, or was there a feel that you had as performers that about how the audience felt during that time? Because it was slightly strange in the run-up to the announcement that people sort of weren't sure how they should be reacting. I guess, what was it like actually in the theatre when you were performing?
I think the longer it went on, we were sort of couldn't believe how many people were sort of still coming, really. I think only on the Saturday did it start to tail off, and then there was a sort of smattering of mask wearing in the auditorium. But yeah, I think that was the one thing that we all kept saying backstage, is like, wow, we're so amazed at how many people are still feeling that they want to come out. And I think Hadley's absolutely right. I don't think the severity of the situation sort of hit home, certainly not even when we left the theatre that evening. We were still invited to go back the following week to collect our things should we need them. But then it's an unprecedented time. We keep saying it, don't we? We don't know when we'll be back, whether it will be this year, next year. Yeah, it was, I guess.
Yeah, I think up until the point that someone pressed a button saying you can't go to the theatre anymore, obviously there's an audience who always want to come and see it. And I'm sure there will be again, you know, there'll be a time and a place where things will be safe and where the situation will be allowing us to all get back in the theatre, and that will be a very welcome time, as long as that's safe and as long as we can all go and do that. But, you know, there was a feeling, I suppose, up until that point, wasn't there, of, oh, you know, we're led by what people are telling us, and we'll keep on going to the theatre up until that point. But yeah, certainly when that button was pressed, it suddenly felt like it felt very strange that we'd been there, I suppose, up until that point. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It's so you guys were in your previews. You were fast approaching your official West End opening night. How was the reaction so far? Because this show really is and was the talk of the town. People were very excited about it.
Oh, well, that's kind to say. I mean, we were having an absolute. We were having the best time of our lives. Actually, it was lovely to go back to the production and having a mixture of the original cast and a new cast who were absolutely astonishing. I think we said the other day, because we don't really talk that much about work at home, and I think we just sort of only 90% of the day. But I think we said the other day it was such a. This is not to take away from what we're living through. We were just sort of reminiscing, saying how wonderful and how proud we were of that production, and how excited we were to share it with people.
Yeah.
Because we felt that we had worked really hard to make it, if not as good, but better than before. And we had a bigger set to do it on, and an amazing creative team and cast. We're genuinely having such a lovely time, weren't we? And I think whoever managed to see it in the few weeks before we opened, I hope that they got the sense of that it was an absolute joy to be back doing it again.
Yeah. One of the people that are in that cast is Vanessa Williams, and she very famously made some extra headlines recently when she appeared on RuPaul's Drag Race. I wonder, have you seen her sort of big transformation yet? Have you seen what she did?
We haven't seen it yet. I think our WhatsApp group has been shared by Vanessa, but we are.
Yeah, we've seen a few clips.
We've seen a few clips. Yeah.
To be honest with you, we probably spend more time watching things that our 3-year-old wants to watch than
I thought you might say that.
to watch. So we don't get a lot of chance to watch
See
anything
movies,
growing
yeah.
up, to be honest. But yeah, Vanessa's doing us proud, I think, still sort of representing the show over there. And you know, I know she in particular is very keen to get back when the theatres reopen. And you know, we were very fortunate to have a hell of a cast there, and there were some very exciting performances that I don't think were seen by people, or at least not seen by very many people. And as Rosie said, you know, we had a sort of top-notch creative team, and it felt once again slightly that City of Angels has unfinished business. You know, the fact that we did it for, I think, only 6 or 7 weeks at the Donmar first time around, and that was a very, very well-received production.
Yeah.
This one, I think we only managed about 2 weeks of previews, and you know, before. Obviously, and there's no sort of small violins playing here. There's bigger things at stake. But before that one got shut down, so there's something that sort of I think is attached to that particular production that you sort of go, right. I hope one day, maybe third time lucky, that we'll have a decent run at it, and people will see just what an amazing, very classy piece of work this is. That's not done all that frequently.
The band they were insane.
Oh, next level.
Standalone. I mean, I think we just want to even do a sort of concert version of it for people to hear the noise those guys made. It was incredible.
Speaking of noises, that's our cat in the background.
We've got a kitten.
Apologies for that.
Just about hear it. How is it getting to go to work together? Is that fun? Is that, I guess, as brilliant as people would expect it to be? I guess, or is it slightly strange? I guess, how did you guys
dreadful.
find it?
It's dreadful.
Over to you.
Entirely dreadful.
Be very careful with your answer.
No, I think we're perhaps in the minority that we quite enjoy it. I mean, I'm not sure we do it all the time. I think there's probably quite a healthy separation of church and state sometimes. But I think well, I'm going to speak purely personally here, but I enjoy it. And,
do you, darling? No, I do as well. It's actually it's weirdly comforting to go to work together. And also because it wasn't a production where, obviously we were playing husband and wife in it, but we weren't playing every single scene together opposite each other. Our kitten is literally about to knock us over. Please don't do that. No, stay there. But yeah, I think